I think it's talking to me. It's saying, saddle me. Look at all these marks. These are thousands of failed and successful attempts at trying to lob that, saddle the mare. I found a smaller stone that I can use to warm up with. It's also getting dark. I think it's time. I'm gonna have to dry clean this outfit.
I'm Jason, and I love to test my physical limits. I'm a Guinness World Record holder, a professional street unicyclist, and a coach at a Ninja Warrior gym. Lifting heavy things has always been a big part of my workout, but ever since seeing World's Strongest Man as a kid, I've always wanted the chance to lift an Atlas stone. The first Atlas stone was based on one of the natural lifting stones here in Scotland. Turns out, almost every clan and community had their own, and a few still remain today. That's when I realised I'd found my next challenge. I'm new to stone lifting, so for some advice on technique and more information about the natural stones, I'm heading to see a genuine expert. Stephen Simpson, the founder of Atlas Endurance, crafts competition standard Atlas stones for national and international lifting events.
You want to be over the midpoint of the stone so everything's in line. So I'm hinging at the hips. My hips are still high. Now the next thing I want to do is come right under the stone. Now I've got it here, it's secure in my lap. I'm in quite a comfy position here. I can almost let go and just have it sitting. Then I bring my arms over the top and I do a front squat up and bring my hips through and extend up. Good. Okay, can I step in? Good. Great position.
Okay.
Arms over the top.
Over the top.
Let's see it. Good. Good.
Woo! What do you think then? How was that technique?
I'll be honest, I was super impressed. I thought you took to it really well. I thought you were handling them great. But you've got to remember, these are Atlas stones. These are engineered to be lifted. When it comes to the natural stones, the manhood stones, it's a completely different game.
The natural stones have individual shapes, textures, and can vary wildly in how their weight is distributed. Stephen's advice for lifting the natural stones is to try and use proper form and technique where possible. But when all else fails, don't be afraid to bully the stone.
Stephen's personal stone hunt has helped me start my own, but I've set my sights on a mysterious stone that still evades him. A 130 kilo monster located on the craggy coast of the Black Isle and only revealed at low tide. The Great Stone of the Dripping Cave. The Great Stone of the Dripping Cave was referenced 200 years ago by a man who may just be the greatest Scottish hero that you've never heard of, Hugh Miller. Born in 1802 in the village of Cromarty, Hugh Miller was a self-taught paleontologist and geologist. At 17 he became a stonemason's apprentice, but it was his keen interest in stones and fossils that he'd found whilst walking the shorelines of Cromarty that led him to the study of geology. It was on these walks that he discovered the Great Stone of the Dripping Cave, and he documents that the ability to lift the stone breast high was an indication of how strong he had become. Hugh Miller has inspired me. 200 years after his documented lift of the Great Stone of the Dripping Cave, I've decided I'm going to hunt the stone down and do the same.
It's just after 5 a.m, I think.
We've got a full tank now, so game on. So we've chosen 4 stones that each have increasing difficulty, so that by the time you reach the Black Isle, you're ready.
And we're at the grave of Rob Roy McGregor. We know that as a landmark that's going to help us find the stone. It should be southeast of here. So it's going to be like a big Easter egg hunt.
The stone at Balkilder is around 94 kilograms and is known as the Pewterak. The plinth is called the Pewtrak and is an ancient Neolithic standing stone. I'm fairly confident with this first lift, but we've decided that if I do fail, and if I give up on any of the lifts before the final stone, then the journey's over and we're heading home.
Okay, the excitement of finding the stone, which is obviously one of our top challenges first of all, is subsided. The excitement and apprehension of lifting it is now setting in. I was going through, where my feet are, where my hands go, and then I remembered, don't overcomplicate it. Bully the stone. So I'm going to bully the stone. It's getting muddy as well.
Yeah! You got it, you got it. Yeah! Well done, man. Well done.
I regret being quite, I don't want to say cocky, confident. But you know what? It's fitting that I used an outlaw technique to lift an outlaw stone. It looks significantly smaller.
It's just there waiting for us by the side of the road.
We're going to lift stone number 2. I'm excited, I'm pumped, I'm ready to saddle a mare, let's get it done. This plinth is different in that it's slightly slanted, it's a lot higher, hence the name saddling mare, because it's supposed to be like putting a saddle on a horse.
It has to stay there or it doesn't count, right?
Yes, you have to balance it precariously. It's a bit muddy. As anticipated, the ground looks like it could be an issue. I'm learning very quickly that I just have to get involved, just get stuck in. It looks tough, but we'll get it done, we'll get it done. Prepare to be saddled, you mare. Come on, come on. It has to be there. Well, as predicted, that was a saddling nightmare. I'm not to make excuses, but a normal stone, you only have to bring it up to waist height. Well, you know what? A mare wasn't saddled in a day. And I'm gonna use that as my motivation, come back tomorrow. I'm full of the Highland spirit and the heart of a rogue. We'll be back. We'll be back, mare. Stay there.
Day 2 at the Sadland Mare, and it's make or break for our stone hunting journey. If I fail the lift again today, we're heading back to Edinburgh.
Okay, so what you don't see in footage of people saddling the mare is this horrible, totally unnecessary ditch. Now it's obviously been created from people doing the saddling mare in this spot because this is the perfect spot to stick the stone up there. But as a consequence, it's become muddy, boggy. It's not exactly the perfect lifting platform, I'll put it that way. In order for it to be saddled, it needs to balance in place. That's the only official way.
There's another rainbow behind you. How you feeling?
Honestly, not confident at all. Ready? This is the test. I'm tired, but this is the thing. Yesterday, I spent so long messing around with it. It really drained me. This time I didn't. You saw, it's just that was the first attempt, pretty much. And because of that, it's like every time you do it, it kills your energy. So it's almost like give 100% once, you're good. Give 80% once, don't get it, you're done. So I will say, I wasn't sure if it was gonna stay. I think the reason I got it today was because the stone isn't muddy, and that's partly because I dried it off before I lifted. And the second part is, praise where praise is due, Rod. You put a kind of tree stump down in the bog, in the aforementioned ditch, and it stopped it from getting muddier. So I really do think that helped me grip it, and that was the main thing, really.
We're now driving north-east, and we're into the Cairngorm National Park, and we're on our way to Glen Coe. So Glen Coe is the site of the next lifting stone, and of course also famous for the Jacobite uprising of 1715. So we're in Glen Coe.
It's beautiful. It's straight out of a Walter Scott novel.
This is the third stone. It's going to be an easy lift, but the challenge is going to be finding it. We're in the glen, but we're not quite near the place where we need to be. What we are looking for is the Earl of Mar's punch bowl.
Yeah, so it is a natural stone formation that literally creates a kind of cup. And as legend would have it, during the 1715 uprising, all of the Highland warriors filled it with rum and whiskey and drank from it.
So we need to get to the punch bowl, which I think is through the forests, and then that's by a river, and then we're just gonna have to look around the forest for a big stone and hope we find the right one.
How wonderfully vague. But we found the punch bowl. This is the site of one of the biggest night outs in history. The stone must be near.
Hey!
Hey! This is it, the Glen Coe lifting stone. Now we found it, only one thing left. Do as the Jacobites did, lift it.
After success in Glen Coe, it's on to Culloden, then creepy corridor and the penultimate stone.
From the site of the start of the 1715 rising to the site of the end of the final Jacobite rising in 1746, we're here at Culloden, infamous in Scottish history, where Bonnie Prince Charlie gathered a group of mostly reluctant clansmen to fight the Duke of Cumberland and the government troops.
Yeah, so I knew about the Battle of Culloden, this epic battle, but what I didn't realise, it was over in 40 minutes. 1,600 people died, but 1,500 of those were Jacobites. So it's actually more like the site of a massacre. It feels more like a graveyard, and as we're walking in, there are kind of graves with clan names on, and this is a big memorial cairn. It's almost like this whole park is a memorial to the death of Highland culture itself.
Absolutely, you know, the ramifications of the defeat here led to the government bringing in what became known as the 1746 Dress Act.
So people weren't allowed to play bagpipes, they weren't allowed to speak Gaelic, they weren't allowed to wear Highland clothes, they weren't allowed to carry a sword. It was an attempt to completely dismantle the clan culture of the Highlands. And then the Highland clearances cleared people off to the colonies. What happened after Culloden was like a cultural genocide. And really it's because of the dismantling of Highland culture that the Scottish tradition of stone lifting disappeared.
Absolutely, you know, you have to assume that there's probably hundreds of lifting stones, you know, most clans would have one. And now the largest figure anyone can really put their finger on is about 20, you know. And that's got to be as a result of the dismantling of Highland culture, of which stone lifting played such a huge role. Four down, the most important one left to go.
Final day, final challenge. We are in Cromarty. Cromarty is on the very tip of the peninsula of the Black Isle. First challenge, we need to find it. So the directions say we need to head out of Cromarty, all the way along through a forest. We have to find a park bench, and then we cut down to the coastline, and then it's several kilometers of dangerous, slippery, jagged rocks.
Is that the cave? That was much harder than I was expecting.
You know what? We've still got to get back, and the tide is definitely coming in.
I know. Right.
Okay, we've probably got about, I'd say we've probably got about 10 minutes before we're in trouble.
I know it doesn't look like much, but this is the dripping cave. Apparently it's much larger inside, so I'm told. I will not be checking. This is the stone of the dripping cave. This is what Hugh Miller was talking about. It's 120 kilos. I've got 10 minutes to try and lift it before we're submerged in water and condemned to the sea.
because it's generally submerged in water like we're going to be in it, it's very, very smooth. So it actually makes it really hard. Okay, time's up. We've got to get back. Drooping Cavestone, you beat me, 120 kilos, fair dues. Respect to Hugh Miller, I tell you. Right.
I think like we've come all this way. We just walked kilometres down one of the worst terrains ever. That stone needs to go off the ground. So although it's not part of the tradition, I think we should finish our journey by lifting it together. What do you think?
Let's do it. Well done.
Hugh Miller was really strong.
With the strength of one Rod and one Jason. All right.
Okay, don't let it land on your feet.
Let's get the hell out of here.
And we're back in busy Edinburgh. We successfully found all the stones on our list, including the crown jewel of our quest, the Great Stone of the Dripping Cave. And though I wasn't able to lift Hugh Miller's Great Stone, the journey to find it took us across Scotland to places we might never have seen without the stones. There are many more stones out there to hunt, and unique locations to be explored. As for me, I'm on the lookout for my next challenge.